He actually just announced to the court, as I was listening in, telling the court that the jury has reached a verdict. He has sent the bailiff to the back room to retrieve the jury. They will come in, and the judge will instruct the foreman to read the counts, and we will know from there. As a matter of fact, I do believe that as you see everybody standing, that the jury should be walking into the courtroom now. Of course, 3 former Memphis police officers are facing a total of 21 counts in this murder trial. The murder of Tyre Nichols back in January of 2023.
We're talking about former officers Tadarrius Bean, Demetrius Haley, and Justin Smith Jr. Those are the 3 that the judge and the jury, of course, is focusing on right now. As you can see, the people in the court, they have just taken their seats at this hour. What we are waiting on is for the judge to get handed the verdict. The jury will hand up that verdict, and of course, we'll be reading it to you shortly.
The jury, as Darcy said, is right off the top of us cutting into programming, got this case just after 12:30 yesterday. They deliberated for roughly 4 hours, maybe 4.5. They reconvened this morning at 9:30 in the jury deliberation room. And again, we had word that they finished up today about 1 o'clock. So just close to 9 hours of deliberations. Let's go ahead and go back now to Judge James Goins' courtroom down at 201 Poplar.
Demetrius Haley and Justin Smith, if counsel would like to stand with their clients. The verdicts read as follows. Count 1, second-degree murder. We, the jury, find the defendant, Tadarrius Bean, not guilty. Count 1. We, the jury, find the defendant, Demetrius Haley, not guilty. Count 1. We, the jury, find the defendant, Justice Smith, not guilty. Count 2. Aggravated assault, acting in concert. We, the jury, find the defendant, Tadarrius Bean, not guilty. Count 2. We, the jury, find the defendant, Demetrius Haley, not guilty. Count 2. We, the jury, find the defendant, Justin Smith, not guilty. Count 3. Aggravated kidnapping with bodily injury. We, the jury, find the defendant, Tadarrius Bean, not guilty. Count 3. We, the jury, find the defendant, Demetrius Haley, not guilty. Count 3. We, the jury, find the defendant, Justin Smith, not guilty. Count 4. Aggravated kidnapping with a deadly weapon. We, the jury, find the defendant, Tadarrius Bean, not guilty. Count 4. We, the jury, find the defendant, Demetrius Haley, not guilty. Count 4. We, the jury, find the defendant, Justin Smith, not guilty. Count 5. Official misconduct, unauthorized exercise of official authority. We, the jury, find the defendant, Tadarrius Bean, not guilty. Count 5. We, the jury, find the defendant, Demetrius Haley, not guilty. Count 5. We, the jury, find the defendant, Justin Smith, not guilty. Count 6. Official misconduct, refraining from performing a duty. We, the jury, find the defendant, Tadarrius Bean, not guilty. We, the jury, find the defendant, Demetrius Haley, not guilty. We, the jury, find the defendant, Justin Smith, not guilty. Count 7, official oppression. We, the jury, find the defendant, Tadarrius Bean, not guilty. Count 7, we, the jury, find the defendant, Demetrius Haley, not guilty. Count 7, we, the jury, find the defendant, Justin Smith, not guilty. All verdict forms have been signed by the foreperson. Attorneys, you can have a seat with your clients. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you have performed your duty. We appreciate the time and attention that you all have given to this case. We will now excuse you all from the courtroom.
Well, you just heard it. All 7 charges against all 3 defendants in this case, not guilty.
All of them.
Bean, Haley, and Smith all walk out of the courtroom with not guilty charges on all 7 charges against second-degree murder, aggravated assault, attempted aggravated kidnapping with bodily injury, aggravated kidnapping with a deadly weapon, official misconduct, 2 counts of official misconduct, in fact, and official repression. Again, Tadarrius Bean, Demetrius Haley, and Justin Smith, all not guilty.
We're going to continue listening in to the judge right now.
Go ahead and adjourn.
All rise. Brooke County Judge at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning.
What you're looking at there are all 3 defendants, Tadarrius Bean in the light-colored suit, along with Demetrius Haley and Justin Smith. You saw Haley and Smith embracing there for quite some time as Bean walked up. A very quiet celebration inside Judge James Jones' courtroom. Again, on all 7 counts, all 3 defendants not guilty.
Fox 13's investigative reporter Kayla Solomon has been in the courtroom from the very beginning. She joins us right now. Kayla, all 7 counts not guilty for these former officers.
Yeah, that's right. Very emotional the second that the courtroom doors opened from both the victim side as well as the family of the defendants. We saw them. I was actually sitting right behind them in the courtroom as the verdict was read. As you know, all 3 men, Tadarrius Bean, Demetrius Haley, and Justin Smith, acquitted of all charges, found not guilty of all charges, as well as those lesser charges that the jury had to consider. This came after about 8 hours of deliberation between yesterday as well as today. But now we know the fate of these 3 men. They have been acquitted of all 3 charges. Now, at this point, we're waiting to hear from both the DA's office as well as the attorneys for these defendants. Of course, this whole entire trial has been about 5 witnesses for the state, and we saw more than 15 from the defendants. Now, as soon as the doors opened, we heard the families of defendants. They were saying, "Thank Jesus, thank God." They were very happy that their family members, of course, were acquitted of these charges. But again, now we know the fate more than 2 years after the beating death of Tyre Nichols.
Kayla, of course, this is by far not the end of the road for these 3 officers, plus the other 2 who were accused in this, Emmett Martin and Desmond Mills. They're all waiting a sentencing from the federal trial that happened last year.
Yeah, now we do know each of them were found guilty of at least 1 charge at the federal level, and we know that the sentencing will happen for that. They were waiting to see what the outcome of this trial would be before that sentencing would happen. And of course, the one that is up in the air still at the state level is Emmett Martin. Now, he is the one, his name came up multiple times in this trial. He testified in the federal trial, took a deal at the federal level, but at this point, it's not clear what his state plea may look like. We know that he was offered one, but he has not officially accepted one at this time. So it still looks like he will have a separate trial at this point.
Clearly, Kayla, everyone is extremely emotional about what has just happened. Again, all three officers are acquitted of all of their charges. We also know that Tyre Nichols' family has been in this courtroom from the very beginning as well. Can you tell us about their thoughts, feelings, emotions as they exited the courtroom today?
Yeah, of course. Heading into today, we were told that they were happy with the job that the state did, that the prosecutors did in this case. Now, we just heard from prosecutor Paul Hagerman that they are planning to speak to us momentarily. So, of course, we'll have that in a second for you. But we heard from the family. They said they were happy with how the state presented themselves. We know Rovon Wells herself was one of the witnesses called up by the state, the very first witness that they called up to the stand. But as soon as the verdict was read, we did see his sister got up and she was trying to leave the courtroom immediately, just overcome with emotions. Now, of course, they couldn't show that emotion within the courtroom or while the verdict was being read because there were very strict instructions handed down by Judge Jones. But we know at this point that they are overwhelmed with emotion, just waiting to hear from them at this point.
I have to say, I think a lot of people, Kayla, may be a little taken aback. There was an overriding sentiment that while all the charges wouldn't stick, I think that everyone understood that not all 7 would stick against all 3 defendants. There was an overriding sentiment that someone was going to be found guilty in some phase of this entire proceeding, but that is not the case. Your thoughts? Again, you've sat through the entire federal trial late last year. You've been through every moment of this, and you've covered this case every step of the way. What are your thoughts?
I'll send it back to you for now.
Yeah, at the federal level, we saw of the 3 defendants that Demetrius Haley received the harshest penalty. He was found guilty of excessive force causing bodily injury at the federal level, and he's been in custody ever since then. We're expecting something similar because there was clear video that showed out of the 3, he was the only one that administered a kick to Tyre Nichols' body. Now, of course, we know that that is not the case, and he has still remained in federal custody since then. But again, he, along with his 2 other co-defendants, all found not guilty of all charges. So at this point, it'll be interesting to see if the state will try this once again. Will we have another trial coming up? Of course, we'll hear from them momentarily.